Let's immediately get some responses from the chair of the President's Council of Economic Advisors, Ndii, who is live with us in studio this evening. Ndii, many thanks for making time for us during the Easter break.
Thank you very much. Good to see you again.
Thank you. And I want you to immediately begin by explaining to civil servants who are watching the broadcast this evening why their salaries for March were delayed.
I think apologies are in order as to why that is the case, but it is not alarming. I think there's something people also experience. If you think about, there's something people call January effect. You know,
elaborate further.
You went and spent money over Christmas. You have school fees in January, and then you also realize, oh my goodness, my insurance, my car insurance is also due, and probably my health insurance and something else. So, and because perhaps even your salary gets delayed. So it's just an operational kind of liquidity crunch. The real reason, actually.
Hang on, are you alluding to a poor planning? Because January effect would only happen to those who did not plan for March and April and who overspent, not forecasting for the future. Is that what you're pointing to today?
To some extent, yes. For whatever reason, typically the government ensures that its maturities are even. Every month that you have, because you go to the market every week to raise money to refinance your bills and bonds. And for some reason, March and April this year have had unusually heavy maturities. In March, we paid 150 billion of maturing bonds and bills. Typically, it's be about 60 or 70. That's more than double. In April, next week, we're paying something like 35 billion. These are published figures. If you look at when the Treasury bill auctions come out, you will see what they are going for, and you will see their maturities next week. Actually, today, only it's a holiday, tomorrow, 35 billion. So that's one side of the story. The other side of the story is, as I said, things change. There are market movements. So several relevant market movements. A couple of weeks ago, the U.S. Treasury the U.S. Fed raised its rates. Also, to not stay behind the curve too much, our central bank also raised the CBR by 75 basis points last week. So those sort of things mean that the market is adjusting.
So who do we hold responsible for this? Because even before we got to the market adjusting, you seemingly have alluded that there was poor planning in when maturities of bonds would come through, and the money that would have been used to pay civil servants was instead used to pay those bonds off. Well, so who do we hold responsible for that?
You know, I don't know whether you hold anyone responsible. Let me tell you where I think it comes from. Last year, the government planned to raise $1 billion from the international market. They should have gone to the market earlier. They left it too late. In the end, they were not able to go. So the last government ended the year.
This was the Eurobond that was originally...
Yes, there was planned.
And cancelled later on.
It cancelled later on because by then the markets were closed. We were too close to election. So the government ended the year with a $1 billion, 100 billion shilling, 120 billion shilling hole. Then that means both on the fiscal side and also on the liquidity side, on the foreign exchange side, that leaves a very big hole. Okay, how do you fill that hole? You go to the market to finance yourself, probably borrow a little more aggressively than you would have done.
The domestic market.
Yes, the domestic market. So those are the maturities that are then now bunching up and now causing us this. So some of these things, you know, you have a shock, you know, some time back, and that was a big one.
That then has effects.
Then it has effects because you are still, it still hasn't washed out of the system.
So when will payroll for civil servants be cleared? When can any servant who's not been paid?
Next week.
Is there a specific date? Can you say by Thursday?
Well, the thing is, you know, the thing is also the coincidence of typically you want your maturities not at the end of the month. You know, the way you don't want also your bills to bunch up at the end of the month, you want your maturities to be probably a second or third week. So, but there's also other sort of reasons. One, March is a particularly poor month for revenue. April is usually a good month because you have two corporate income taxes that are paid. You have the final tax for the last financial year and the installment tax for the first
so are you telling
of the year.
Civil servants that their April salaries will come?
Oh, definitely next week.
Time?
By end of next week, definitely. For March, certainly. The other thing is that, I mean, we're still being able to raise money. Next week, we've got $200 million coming in from a syndicated loan. We have $300 million probably by the end of the week or the other week. It's not a crisis.
Okay. I want to hold you there. Take two stories or so, and then I'm coming back to you. Hold on that note. And I know there are many other questions coming through. But before we carry on with David Ndii, who's the